Incredible journey. 30 days after a black mechanic girl fixes a Hell's Angels bike, her life changes forever. The sun was blazing as Maya tightened the last bolt on the engine. The clang of metal on metal had become her daily soundtrack, a rhythm that blended with the hum of hope echoing within her. As a 16-year-old mechanic in Michigan, she wasn't just working on cars, she was keeping her family's dreams alive after her father's sudden illness. In that small auto repair shop, surrounded by grease and tools, Maya felt the strength coursing through her. This was where she belonged, but on this ordinary afternoon, the air shifted, crackling with something electric. The door swung open, and in walked Jack, a Hell's Angel, the very definition of bad news. His leather jacket clung to his broad shoulders, the tattoos on his arms whispering tales of danger. The shop, normally a sanctuary of clattering wrenches and the smell of motor oil, felt suddenly charged with tension. Everyone in town knew who Jack was, and the tremors of fear rippled through the community at the mere mention of his name. Maya's heart thumped in her chest. Yet, instead of fear, she felt something unexpected, a sense of challenge. She puffed up her chest, meeting his gaze. "What can I do for you?" "You can fix my bike," he replied, a confident smirk playing at his lips. With deft hands, Maya inspected the sleek black motorcycle. She worked swiftly, her mind sharper than the highest revs from that engine. After hours of sweat, grease, and determination, she stood back, wiping her hands on her apron, her heart swelling with pride. Jack's bike roared back to life. "What do I owe you?" he asked, genuine surprise in his voice. "Just come back for the next service," she shot back, a playful smile forming. Unbeknownst to her, this simple act of kindness would change everything. Days turned to weeks, and Jack returned, not just for repairs but also to share stories of the road. Their unlikely friendship blossomed like wildflowers amidst concrete. With every visit, Maya felt emboldened. Jack didn't see her as just a girl from a struggling family but as an equal, a partner even. Yet the whispers around town grew. "Don't associate with that man," they said. "He has trouble." The weight of their judgment bore down on her, clouding her mind. How could she cherish this bond while realizing how her community viewed it? Maya's resolve flickered like a dying flame. Then came the businessman, slick and persuasive. "You can sell this shop, Maya. Create a life for yourself. No more struggle." His words were sweet but saturated with decay. It felt like a betrayal to everything she had fought for, everything her family had built. As tensions rose during the upcoming local car show, a celebration now tainted by brewing animosity, Maya prepared for the storm ahead. The town was divided, and the clash felt imminent. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Standing amidst her friends and family, but facing Jack as the confluence of their worlds, Maya felt the pulse of uncertainty drum through her veins. This was more than about a shop or a friendship, it was about redefining every limit placed upon her. As the car show erupted into chaos, she had one chance to prove to the town and herself who she really was. Would she sink into the safety of conformity, or rise to embrace the grit of her true self? The heart of her community was at stake, and so was her destiny. The clock ticked loudly in her ears, each second amplifying the gravity of her next move. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the chaotic car show, Maya's heart raced. The sound of laughter mingled with the growl of revving engines, but the joy felt distant. She focused on Jack, who was leaning against his motorcycle, his presence a bridge between her world and those who eyed him with disdain. A sudden commotion startled her. A group of local men, led by a familiar face, approached with frowns etched deep on their brows. They were the ones who had whispered warnings, eyes aflame with judgment. Maya swallowed hard, sweat collecting at her temples. What do you think you're doing, hanging out with him? Screamed Trevor, his voice cutting through the air like a blade. The hostility in his eyes sent a jolt down her spine. He nothing but trouble. Maya stood tall, her chest rising with defiance. You don't know him, Trevor. He's not what you think. Right, Trevor laughed bitterly, pursuing this battle of pride. You think he's going to do anything for you? He's a Hell's Angel, Maya. This isn't some fairy tale. The crowd began to murmur, eyes shifting between her and Jack. Doubt crept into her chest. What if they were right? But looking at Jack, she felt a wave of courage. He wasn't the villain they painted him to be. Maya, don't, Jack said softly, stepping forward. But she shook her head, fixing her gaze on Trevor. You know what? I'm not afraid of him. I'm not afraid of any of you, Maya declared, her voice rising as she felt the heat of anger pushing back against fear. I'm here because I love this, because I believe in this place and the people in it. You think I'm being foolish? Look around. This place is alive because we work together. Trevor's face twisted with a mix of frustration and confusion, his friend standing behind him in hesitant silence. Why don't you try to learn, instead of judging? Maya continued, feeling a spark of hope ignite in her chest. It was time to confront the stigma surrounding her friendship with Jack and reclaim her passion. Behind her, Jack shifted uncomfortably. Maya could feel the tension radiating from him, but there was also something else in appreciation for her bravery. Maya, he began, but she cut him off with a wave of her hand. We've all had our struggles, she said, her voice softer now, reaching out to the people she grew up with. Jack taught me things about mechanics I never thought I'd learn. He sees me, not just as a girl, but as someone capable of greatness. In that moment, Maya felt the weight of all her fears beginning to lift. The murmurs of doubt still hung in the air, but she was no longer standing alone. She wanted to fight for her dreams and relationships, and maybe just maybe others would see things through her eyes. As the tension started to dissolve, a spark of respect flickered amongst some onlookers. Maya noticed a few nodding quietly, their expressions softening as they began to reconsider their judgments. Then, chaos struck again when an engine roared too loudly, and someone shouted, a spark igniting a scuffle nearby. With the crowd drawn into the frenzy, Maya glanced at Jack, who looked unsure, the danger palpable as they were both caught among excitement and uncertainty. Stay close, he warned, his voice a low murmur as he reached for her hand. Maya's heart raced again, but it wasn't just fear she felt, it was a flicker of adrenaline, the kind that hinted at new beginnings. What awaited them in the chaos of that car show held the promise of transformation, challenges yet to come. Would they survive this night unscathed, or would it tear the delicate threads of their newly forged bond? The future hung in the air, poised to shift in an instant, and for Maya, every second felt like an adventure waiting to unfold. Maya felt Jack's grip tighten around her hand as the crowd shifted with rising tension. The roar of the engine sounded like thunder rumbling overhead, and the atmosphere crackled with energy. People surged to the front, eager to see the drama unfold. Let us find a way out, Jack said, his voice steady amid the chaos. But Maya hesitated, a mix of fear and excitement coursing through her veins. She had stepped into the spotlight, and there was no turning back now. In the heart of that swirling mass, she spotted Trevor again, his face contorted in anger and confusion. He was still trying to rally his friends, but her words lingered in the air, like a stubborn ember refusing to die out. Do you see what you've started? He challenged, his eyes darting from Maya to Jack. This isn't a game, Maya. Neither is friendship, she shot back, her voice firm despite the adrenaline racing through her. Jack's body language shifted, a mixture of admiration and concern painted across his face. Let them see you for who you really are, he murmured, cutting through the noise. There was strength in his words, igniting a flicker of hope inside her again. Suddenly, a louder roar erupted from the outside, the sound of revving engines shifting into a high-speed chase. All heads turned as a sleek black bike screeched around the corner, a bold rider weaving through the crowd like a comet. The air vibrated with the emotion that followed: envy, admiration, resentment, awe. Maya felt her heart skip. It was thrilling. Standing side by side with Jack, they shared a glance, and she could see the thrill in his eyes too. Then everything changed. A figure stumbled backward, the pause, the brief chaos, then a crash. Someone fell to the ground, and a ripple of shock washed through the bystanders. Maya's breath hitched as she spotted a woman who had been cheering on the race, now sprawled on the pavement. "Someone call for help." Jack's voice thundered over the crowd. He moved quickly, pulling Maya along with him towards the fallen woman. "Maya! Wait!" Trevor's voice reached for her, laced with urgency. But she couldn't stop now. As they reached the woman who lay still, Jack knelt beside her, checking for signs of consciousness. Maya pressed a palm to her heart as panic set in, feeling helpless yet determined. "Get everyone back. Give her some space," Jack commanded, his voice taking charge. Maya couldn't just stand there, she knelt too. Without thinking, she took the woman's hand, hoping that somehow that would help. From somewhere deep inside her, a calmness emerged. The fear faded as she felt Jack's presence beside her. They were both here, both willing to help. With her other hand, Maya reached for her phone, her fingers shaking. Calling for help seemed daunting, like a weight resting heavy on her shoulders. But she took a breath, focusing only on the moment in front of her. "Stay with us," she whispered to the woman, though she wasn't sure if she could hear. "Help is coming." This was no longer just about her. It was something greater, a reminder of community and the ties that intertwined them all. With each passing second, she realized her bravery wasn't just for Jack, it was also to support her neighbors, to rally for anyone in need. As sirens wailed in the distance, Jack's gaze met hers, and for the first time, she felt that they were not just standing on opposite sides of judgment. They were united, confronting fears and doubts head-on, ready to fight for those who couldn't stand up for themselves. What if something worse happens? Maya thought, but the question lingered unvoiced. She shook her head, ready to fight not just for her love, but for a budding hope within herself and the community around her. With the flashing lights approaching, the atmosphere shifted yet again. Would this event solidify their bond or tear them apart as they faced the consequences of a chaotic night? It was a question that lingered ominously in the dimming light, and Maya couldn't shake it off. The world spun faster, but in that moment, she felt more alive than ever. Would her connection to Jack withstand the turbulence ahead? What secrets and revelations lay hidden in the shadows of tonight's events? The blaring sirens sliced through the night, drawing everyone's eyes toward the approaching emergency vehicles. Maya's heart raced as she held the woman's hand, a fragile connection that felt both grounding and essential. The world around her faded, the crowd's buzz blurring into a distant hum as she focused solely on the woman, whose breaths were shallow. "Please, stay with us," Maya pleaded, squeezing the woman's hand tighter. Jack was still by her side, his brow furrowed with worry, but there was something resolute in his posture that reassured her. "Help is almost here," he said softly, glancing up now and then as paramedics zipped through the throng of people. "You're not alone." The moments felt stretched, like time had slowed in the chaos of the night. Around them, startled faces watched, some whispering amongst themselves, while others pulled out their phones, capturing the scene. The reality of it all pressed down on Maya like a heavy blanket. "Stay strong," she whispered again, her voice barely audible over the approaching sirens. It felt ridiculous to talk to a stranger like this, but in a way, she wasn't just talking to the woman, she was reminding herself of the resilience she was fighting for. A paramedic finally pushed through the crowd, his expression focused as he knelt beside them, assessing the situation. "What happened?" he asked, looking between Maya and Jack. "She was cheering for the race, and then I don't know," Jack replied, his hands trembling slightly as he gestured toward the bike that had caused the commotion. "We need to know she'll be okay." The paramedic nodded, taking control with practiced ease. We'll take it from here. You did well to keep her calm. Just step back a little. Maya reluctantly released her grip on the woman's hand, letting go of a part of herself. The medic and his team worked swiftly, their movements fluid and assured. They began administering care, and soon the woman started to stir, a faint groan escaping her lips. Relief washed over Maya, warming the icy tendrils of fear coiling in her chest. The crowd began to murmur, a mix of hope and disbelief humming through the air. She glanced at Jack, whose eyes sparkled with admiration. The connection between them felt stronger tonight, forged by shared bravery in the face of uncertainty. "See?" he said, a soft smile breaking through his earlier tension. "You did good." But even in the glow of that moment, the atmosphere still felt heavy with lingering doubt. Trevor was still looming in the shadows, his face an unreadable mask as he watched the situation unfold. It bothered her that he didn't seem moved by the incident, just focused on his frustrations. "Do you think they'll be okay?" Maya asked, her voice trembling slightly. "They're trained for this," Jack insisted, confidence unmistakable in his words. Yet, doubt flickered in his expression, just a glimmer that caught Maya's attention. As the paramedics loaded the woman onto a stretcher, Jack took a step forward, ready to offer assistance, but Maya held his arm. "We should stay back. They need space," she murmured. "Right," he nodded, and they stood together, their shoulders brushing, sharing the weight of the moment. Maya watched the woman being whisked away, her heart aching for someone they didn't even know. She realized, even among chaos, they had managed to show humanity, to connect, but what did it all mean? Would they go back to their old lives, returning to the normalcy of the everyday? Or was there a path forward, one more profound than anything she had envisioned? As the questions loomed large in her mind, a voice cut through her thoughts. "Hey, Maya." "Jack." Trevor called, his voice revealing a rare urgency. "We need to talk." Maya's stomach sank at his tone. What could he possibly say that would change the night's events? She shared a concerned glance with Jack, and the weight of uncertainty settled back upon them like a thick fog. Could they handle the aftermath together, or would Trevor's thoughts unravel everything they had just fought for? The night was far from over, and as she braced herself for Trevor's arrival, one thing became painfully clear: life was about to change, and she wasn't sure if it would be for better or worse. "Guys, we really need to talk," Trevor insisted, stepping closer, his expression earnest. The crowd still buzzed, murmurs ebbing and flowing, a stark contrast to the heaviness hanging in the air around them. "What do you want, Trevor?" Maya snapped, irritation bubbling beneath her surface. The urgency in his tone seemed misplaced, especially after witnessing the chaos just moments before. Jack stood beside her, tension radiating off him like heat. "Listen, I know this is a tough time," Trevor said, his voice dropping to a lower register, "but we have bigger issues to deal with. The race, it's not just about the bikes, it's about respect, safety, everything." Jack's jaw clenched, frustration spilling over. "Trevor, a woman just got hurt. Can't you see that?" Trevor waved a dismissive hand, clearly more invested in his own agenda. "Right, but we need to get everyone back to safety. You both could have stepped in earlier, we can't keep losing focus on what's important." Maya shook her head, her heart pounding. It felt like a surreal nightmare where emotions and urgency collided. "What's important here is that woman. You're acting like everything is the same as before, but it's not." The words hung in the air, heavy with truth. Jack took a half step forward, leaving Maya momentarily alone to process. "Look, Trevor, you need to open your eyes," Jack added, anger creeping into his voice. "Change is happening whether you like it or not. What do you want us to do? Pretend none of this happened?" Trevor's face twisted with defiance, frustration snapping at the edges of his composure. "I just want to make sure the race doesn't turn into a free-for-all every time someone gets too excited. We need to keep control." Maya narrowed her eyes at Trevor, curiosity mingling with resentment. Did he really think that control equated to the absence of feelings? For her, tonight was about compassion, a collective strength born from genuine connection. Control isn't just a checklist, Trevor, she retorted. It's heart. That's what makes us human. We won't forget that, not after tonight. Silence settled over the three of them, thick with unspoken tensions and unresolved emotions. For a fleeting moment, Maya thought she could see uncertainty flicker across Trevor's face. Maybe, just maybe, he was wrestling with his own beliefs in light of what had just unfolded. Not every aspect of life can be planned, Trevor, Jack murmured, breaking the brief stillness. Sometimes we just have to react, to feel, to help. Just then, the distant wail of sirens finally faded into the background, replaced by an unsettling quiet. It was unsettling, like the calm before yet another storm. Maya's thoughts raced. The woman was on her way to help, but what about the rest? What could happen next, and how would that affect them all as they stood on the precipice of change? In this tight-knit world that had been her home, their beliefs, their values would be tested. Look, Trevor said finally, softening slightly, I know this is bigger than just bikes and races. But we have to keep our community whole by ignoring the pain. Maya interjected, her voice steadier now. You can't preach safety without acknowledging the risks. A faint flicker of understanding crept into Trevor's eyes, his posture softening a fraction. Maybe he was realizing that life wasn't merely about rules. It was about the people involved. I don't want to lose anyone. Not again, Trevor admitted, his voice a whisper now. An unguarded moment, a shared vulnerability amidst all the bravado. Maya's heart shifted. This was new. Maybe there was a chance they could address everything together. Were they all really ready to confront what lay beneath the surface? Then let us find a way forward together, Jack suggested, glancing back and forth between them. But we have to accept that things have to change, and we can't force everyone to go back to how things were. Maya felt the weight of the moment shift against her chest, a small flame of hope igniting within her. What would it mean to face the future together, with honesty? Can we do this? She asked, her voice trembling slightly with the possibility. As they stood together, trepidation mixed with excitement coursed through her veins. Trevor took a deep breath, almost as if ready to agree. Yeah. I think we can. His voice was stronger now, more assured, but just as relief began to unfurl, Maya's phone buzzed in her pocket, interrupting the fragile harmony. She pulled it out, her heart skipping a beat as she read the message. An update, a new threat, something that could change everything they had just built. Guys, we need to move. There's something we all need to see. The air buzzed with uncertainty as they exchanged glances, a collective question hanging unasked. What awaited them at this new turn? Maya's mind raced as she processed the message. Her heart quickened, a blend of fear and determination sparking in her chest. It's a video, possibly live footage from the race, she said, her voice barely a whisper. It felt like a key turning in a locked door, secrets just waiting to burst forth. Trevor stepped closer, his earlier bravado fading in the face of urgency. What does it say? He asked, tension tightening his voice. It mentions another incident, a brawl, or worse, at the track, she replied. Her fingers trembled as she continued to read, unsure of what they were about to face. They're saying the situation is escalating. Like, really bad. Jack's eyes widened. Escalating how? With everything that just happened, we can't afford another incident. We need to get there and see for ourselves. Agreed, Trevor said quickly, the fear creeping into his voice. The shift in his demeanor was striking, he seemed to understand that control was slipping through their fingers. We can't let this spiral out of control again. Maya felt a wave of compassion wash over her. As frustrated as she had been with Trevor's earlier insistence on discipline, his worry was genuine now. They were all feeling it, the stakes had gone up. She nodded, determination solidifying her resolve. Let's go. They moved swiftly, pushing through the crowd that still milled about, curious but unaware of the brewing storm threatening to engulf their community. The race venue loomed ahead, the lights still flickering with a half-hearted enthusiasm from the earlier excitement. But something was off. There was a tightness in the air, a hush that suggested dread lingered just beneath the surface. They saw small groups gathered, voices heated, the tension palpable. As they approached the main area, the scene unfolded before them. Shadows danced under the harsh stadium lights, revealing a chaotic mix of anger and desperation. Distorted faces, fists clenched tightly, bodies close but hearts farther apart. "We can't just stand by," Maya said, stepping forward, the need to mend something within her surging. Trevor shifted beside her, hesitantly raising a hand. "We need to talk to them. Reason with them." His voice trembled slightly, betraying his own uncertainty. Jack nodded, resolutely. "If we don't step in, it could explode." They moved closer, the crackle of energy igniting as they reached the edge of the burgeoning crowd. Maya scanned the faces, feeling the heat of the moment pulse through her veins. All around her, voices rose, anger spilling like an overflowing cup, each shout echoing with unspoken fears. Then, in the midst of the chaos, she spotted a familiar face, a girl from the racing circuit who'd always been passionate and fiery. "Sasha!" She shouted over the noise, breaking through the frenzy. The girl turned, eyes wide as she recognized Maya. "Thank God you're here. You need to help us. This isn't just about pride anymore. It's about survival." Maya's heart sank. "What do you mean?" Sasha stepped closer, urgency painted across her features. "There are rumors of a gang claiming dominance in this area. They want to take over the races, and they're not going to listen to reason. We can't let it happen." Trevor's expression shifted to one of outright concern. "We have to unite everyone, get them to see they can't give in to fear." But even as they spoke, Maya could sense the tide of anger beginning to shift, hopeful sparks flickering against the overwhelming dread. She felt the weight of the moment land heavily on her shoulders. What could they really accomplish? "Let us gather everyone," Jack insisted, stepping forward into the fray, a knack of command emerging from deep within him. "We need to make them hear us. We have to show them they're not alone." But as they moved further into the crowd, the mood grew restless, a storm brewing not only within the community but inside each of them. Maya listened closely, her pulse quickening. This was the moment they feared. And as much as she wanted to inspire, doubt crept in and began to gnaw at her mind. How could they possibly unite a crowd that felt abandoned and betrayed? As they stood together, hearts pounding, Maya knew they were stepping into uncharted territory. The question loomed large in her mind: could they find the strength to rally their community, or would the rift that had begun to form prove to be insurmountable? Jack reached for her hand, squeezing it tightly. "We have to believe in each other," he whispered, determination infused in his every word. Maya nodded, heart racing with hope and fear. Would belief be enough to pave the path ahead? Then, just as silence threatened to take hold, a resounding shout pierced the air, sending chills down her spine. "We won! Back down!" Maya, Jack, and Trevor turned toward the source of the outcry, hearts in their throats. What would happen next in this pivotal moment? The answer hung precariously, waiting to unravel. The shout echoed through the venue, slicing through the tension like a knife. Maya's heart raced, and she turned to look at the crowd, their faces a tapestry of fear and anger. It felt like they were standing on the edge of a cliff, the world beneath them unraveling. "Who said that?" Trevor asked, his eyes scanning the shifting masses. Maya's own gaze locked onto a figure stepping forward from the throng. It was Danny, a local mechanic known for his bold demeanor and fierce loyalty to his fellow racers. "We won! Back down!" he yelled again, fists raised high, his voice a beacon in the chaos. In that moment, something shifted. The crowd paused, chins lifting, eyes shining with confusion and uncertainty. Would they rally behind him, or shrink away? "Wanna take our races from us?" Danny continued, his voice gaining momentum. Never. We built this together, every dent, every scratch, every fallen tire. It's ours. Maya felt a spark ignite within her. This was the rallying cry they needed. He's right. She called out, stepping forward alongside Danny. Those races are about our community. Our identity. Trevor and Jack quickly fell in step beside her. They formed a united front, their presence amplifying Danny's message. We're stronger together. Jack shouted, his voice ringing out over the murmurs and hesitations that rippled across the assembly. We can't let fear tear us apart. Gradually, faces that had been twisted in anger began to soften. Hands that had been clenched in fists slowly unfolded. Maya could see doubt giving way to determination, fueled by the fire in Danny's words and their own growing unity. The energy shifted, voices began to rise. We won't let them take our races. One voice cried out, infectious enthusiasm spreading. Together we stand. Another echoed, igniting the spirit of camaraderie. Maya felt tears prick at her eyes amidst the swelling sense of belonging. This was home, this was family, their love for racing woven into their hearts, binding them together. Yet, just as hope surged, a loud crack sliced through the air, a day's worth of fear given voice in the form of a metal barrier collapsing at the edge of the venue. The crowd recoiled, screams and shouts mingling with the fracturing steel noise of the scene. Tension spiraled, shadows darting as people surged backward involuntarily. Maya's heart plummeted. No! She shouted, anxious eyes darting around, searching for a piece of comfort in the chaos. Hands wrapped around her arms, holding tight. She looked up to find Trevor's face, paler than before. We can't let this get out of hand. He gasped, and the frantic energy in the air made her stomach churn. They had come to unite but now risked spiraling into panic and division. Stay together. Jack shouted, his voice steady and anchoring amidst the chaos. Don't lose sight of what brought us here. As Maya pushed back against the tide of fear, she caught sight of Sasha scrambling to the front. We have to show them that we will not be divided. Sasha shouted, her voice bearing the weight of conviction. Maya felt a rush of adrenaline. Was it possible? Could they turn this moment around? Let us make our voices heard. She called, channeling every ounce of passion she had. Fight for our races. Fight for our community. We can rise above this. The crowd hesitated, fear their companion, determination flickering like a candle in the wind. But slowly, one by one, people began to raise their voices, echoing Maya's plea. The atmosphere crackled with defiance, a beautiful harmony of hope and strength, but just as unity began to form, from behind them, Maya caught sight of dark figures lurking, gang members, shadows threatening the light they just ignited. The air thickened with dread. Get out! She shouted, seeing them move forward. What's coming next? Trevor whispered, fear lacing his voice, and suddenly, a truth hung in the air like a heavy smog. They needed to stand tall not just against the anger brewing in their own community, but against the very real threat looming just outside. Did they have what it would take to face both? Would they fall apart, or could they become something greater than themselves? The answer lay on the horizon, just out of reach. Maya's heart raced as she locked eyes with Trevor, their minds racing with worry. The crowd was a boiling pot of fear and confusion, but deep inside, something stronger was beginning to brew. She breathed in, steadying herself for what was about to come next. Danny stepped forward, lifting his chin defiantly. We've come too far to back down now. His voice boomed, bolder than before. We are more than just racers, we're a family. And family sticks together when things get tough. The crowd quieted, the tension stretching like a taut wire, waiting to snap. As Danny's words hung in the air, 100 racing faces looked between each other, their whip-like gazes igniting the flames of solidarity. The spirit of the community crackled with potential. Suddenly, the distinct glare of motorcycle headlights cut through the evening gloom, illuminating the space behind the crowd. Maya's breath hitched. There they were, the gang members who had thrived on division. Leather jackets, menacing scowls, every detail dripped with threat. "They're here," Trevor whispered, anxiety flashing across his features. "Stand your ground," Jack called out, a note of fierce determination edging his voice. "For every lover of the track, for every scratch and dent we fight for what we love." Maya's heart pumped harder. She raised her hands. "If we can show them that we aren't afraid, we win. Our races matter, our community matters, and they can't take that from us." As she spoke, hands began to raise, tremors of defiance rippling through the crowd. One voice became another, then a chorus. "Fight for our community. Fight for our home." The gang members stepped closer, grinning like wolves stalking prey. Maya glanced at Trevor, and in that moment, she saw him. He was more than just a friend, he was a part of her family. She couldn't let fear consume this moment. "Okay, everyone, listen up," Maya shouted above the rising noise. "They want to divide us, to pit us against each other. But we've got something they can't touch: our spirit. We know what it is to rise together. We know what it is to push through." A roar erupted from the crowd, each voice feeding into the other's courage. The gang hesitated briefly, exchanging nervous glances. Maya could see their uncertainty, the cracks beginning to show in their bravado, but then one of the gang members stepped forward, sneering. "You think you can take us on? You're nothing without your races." Maya clenched her fists, a fire blazing within her. "You're wrong. We're everything because of our races. We're a team, not just some riders." Trevor took a step closer to her, his voice strong. "We refuse to live in fear. You can't silence us." As if they were a wave crashing upon the shore, the crowd surged forward, their voices louder, stringing together a battle cry that would not be hushed. "Together. We stand together." But just then, chaos exploded. The gang members surged forward with their bikes, engines roaring like angry beasts, tires screeching against the pavement. In the split second of shock, the collective breath of the crowd hitched, uncertainty crashing over them like a tidal wave. Maya felt time slow as everything spun around her. "This is it," she thought, heart pounding harder than the engines. Would they fall apart, or could they forge a path through the chaos? What happens next? She thought desperately, eyes locked on the advancing threat. A heavy weight rested in the air as they all braced for what was to come, and in that moment, Maya realized they held not just their past but their future in their hands. Could they stand together and fight not just for races, but for their very lives? The answer lingered, just out of reach, as engines roared toward their unified spirit. Maya's eyes widened as the first motorcycle barreled through the crowd. It was like a thunderclap, slicing the atmosphere with sheer force. In that split second, instinct kicked in. "Move," she shouted, pushing Trevor and Danny aside just as the first bike hurtled past. The roar of engines mixed with the anxious cries of the crowd, creating a cacophony of fear and chaos. Danny sprung into action. "We need to get the others to safety." He grabbed a few nearby racers and guided them away from the thrumming machines now circling menacingly. Maya felt the surge of adrenaline drive her feet. Her heart pounded like an engine revving. She turned back to face the incoming threat. Trevor stood beside her, fists clenched, eyes fierce. "We can't just let them run us over like this." "No way," Maya replied, a fire igniting in her spirit again. The crowd was scattering, but amidst the panic, she sensed the courage in some faces. "We need to rally them." "Right," Trevor breathed, and they made their way through the chaos, calling out to their friends. "Get back together. Don't let them separate us." One by one, racers began to regroup, gathering into a solid front. They all felt the tension building, a fierce defiance against those who sought to intimidate. As the gang circled them, like sharks prowling for a weakling, Maya felt the weight of their bike engines, but she knew they wouldn't back down. Suddenly, Maya grabbed a makeshift flag, a checkered banner that flapped determinedly in the breeze. She held it high, heart racing, as she shouted to the others, "If we stand together, they LLC we're not scared of them. We are family." The banner fell heavy on the wind, but so did her words. The crowd responded with a thunderous roar. They wouldn't give in. They would fight for their place, for their community, and for the races they held dear. The gang members, in their leather jackets, began revving their engines menacingly. One of them laughed, "What do you think you're gonna do? Stand there and shout?" Maya stepped forward, the crowd backing her. "We are standing together. We are stronger than you think." An underlying defiance surged through the crowd. They began to clap, stomp their feet, turning the echo of engines into a drumroll of unity. The energy bounced back and forth like an electric current, each beat sparking something deeper. An exhilarating wave that invigorated heartbeats. It was a sight to behold, people standing resolute, all different but united in purpose. And as the encroaching motorcycles revved louder, Maya caught sight of a couple of younger racers beside her. They looked so scared, and something twisted painfully in her chest. "Are you ready to show them what we're made of?" she asked them, kneeling to meet their anxious eyes. "Yes." They echoed, finding strength in her resolve. "Yeah!" yelled Trevor, pumping his fist in the air, uniting the crowd. "We're not backing down. Together, we can take them on." Danny cried, and with that, the noise rose into a fervent chant echoing around their voices mixed with the roar of engines, fierce and unyielding, but the gang, sensing the shift in power, prepared to charge. The air thickened with tension once again. Maya's heart thundered, could they really hold their ground? As the first storm of leather-clad riders lunged toward them with a maniacal intensity, it felt like everything was on the brink of collapse. Would their unity be enough to turn the tide, or would the chaos engulf them completely? Answers hovered like the dust in the air, and in that moment of terror, Maya realized that not just her future was at stake, but the very essence of the community she had come to love. Would they rise together, or would everything they fought for shatter before their eyes? The clash was swift and thunderous, like a tidal wave crashing against a rocky shore. Maya's heart raced, every beat a call to arms. As the gang charged forward, adrenaline surged through her veins. "Hold your ground!" she shouted, voice firm and unwavering amidst the chaos. Suddenly, a vanguard from the crowd surged forward. White-knuckled fists were raised high, echoing confidence. "We're with you!" shouted Danny, embodying the fierce spirit that had conquered and built their community, a reminder that together they were an unstoppable force. Maya raised the checkered flag higher, its bold patterns fluttering defiantly in the wind. "This is our track. You don't control us." Every eye in the crowd turned toward her, uniting their hopes and fears in a shared heartbeat. The gang's motorcycles screeched to an aggressive halt, skidding on the pavement, intimidation written on their scowls. "You think a pack of little kids and girls can stop us?" one of them sneered, adrenaline-fueled bravado thinly veiling his uncertainty. Maya squared her shoulders, finding strength from the friends around her. "We aren't just kids. We're a family. You'll never take that from us." The crowd roared in agreement, a wave of sound crashing back against the gang like a defiant tide. Trevor stepped closer to Maya and Danny, their voices weaving the tapestry of unity. "Remember every night we put in the hard work. Remember every race that brought us together. This is about more than just tires on pavement, it's about each other." Those words ignited a spark. Hands reached out, pulling more people from the fringes into their fold. As the roar of engines began, it mixed with cheers and chants. "Together!" echoed through the air, rippling like a thunderous anthem, drowning the gang's intimidation in sheer resolve. But the gang members didn't easily back down. They revved their engines again, a menacing growl against the backdrop of unity. "You want to fight? Fine. We'll show you what we can do." In that moment, Maya realized she had a choice to make, a choice that wouldn't just define this night but beckon a new dawn of understanding and strength. Perhaps this wasn't just a battle against the gang, but an awakening for everyone standing with her, revealing the strength of vulnerability and kinship. "Who else with me?" she shouted, a chant erupting. Let us take back our community. Their voices intertwined, creating a resonating promise to themselves and each other. Fear erupted into fierce declarations of pride and belonging. Then, someone from the back shouted, "We're not here to brawl, we're here to stand for what we've built." An electric tension filled the air, both sides assessing one another, and Maya felt the pulse of courage and fear reverberate around her. "Yeah," Danny echoed as he squared off to the approaching gang. "We will not be judged by our past, but defined by how we rise. We are all family here, no matter where we come from. Let us unite." With that, the energy shifted like a mighty current. Each person felt the strength of the community coursing through them, bolstered by shared purpose and hope. The gang hesitated, taken aback by the unwavering resolve in their eyes, the unexpected bravery that stood tall against their intimidation. Maya caught a glimpse of their uncertainty and pressed further. "We're all here. For one another." At last, the power of togetherness pushed back against the suffocating shadows. As the gang's bravado began to flicker, crack, and crumble under the rising tide of unity, Maya took a deep breath. "This ends now. Either you choose to recognize our strength, or you'll face the consequences of underestimating us." The crowd surged forward, unified, a palpable wave of emotion, ready to confront whatever lay ahead, not as isolated individuals but as a secure, unbreakable family. The gang members, realizing how they had misjudged, felt the tide of fear and anger begin to shift back. Silence settled over the venue, each member of the community standing resolute, strength radiating like hot embers of passion igniting a collective flame. Together, they understood that change would not come without strife, yet their unity had become a testament of hope. Before the dust settled, the gang made a decision. They turned, engines roaring as they retreated, fading like shadows at dawn. The crowd erupted, cheers and laughter mingling with relief, joy spilling like sunlight into the darkness. "We did it!" Maya exclaimed, feeling tears of gratitude well in her eyes, the adrenaline of victory coursing through her, but amidst the celebration, she felt a warmth beside her. Jack squeezed her hand, his presence grounding her in the moment. "You were amazing," he whispered, his voice laced with awe. Maya looked around, feeling the love surrounding her friends, family, community, all a stark reminder of what they had built together. "We have each other. And now we'll always remember to rise as one," she replied, her heart playing a joyous melody. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, they celebrated not just a triumph but a transformation, a community rebuilt on the foundation of shared dreams and acceptance. The echoes of a newfound hope lingered, and Maya knew that life would never be the same. And so, Maya took a deep breath, looking toward the horizon with a radiant smile, ready for whatever came next. Life's journey was just beginning, and the road ahead shimmered with the promise of endless possibilities. And you, dear viewer, cannot afford to miss the next adventure. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and propel this community forward. Comment your feelings about this heartwarming ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Real fans like you know how important it is to support the channel by doing so now.